Everyone, and I have to apologize up front. I've just been appointed as a full-time chaplain with the Dallas Fire Department, and unfortunately, I've got to leave because I've got a funeral I got to get to. But anyway, as Mr. Garcia alluded to, my name is Joe Cruz. I'm from Duncanville. I actually grew up right down the street, Westmoreland and Davis area, and went to George Peabody Elvis High, but then transitioned to Michigan High School. But before I get started, I wanted to introduce you to my wife, Janet. Cruz, she's right there with my wife for 31 years. Now, here's something a little unique about our family, and that is Janet, she's from Oakland as well, but just a little update. So my wife, Janet, is now on the school board in Duncanville, and I'm now on city council in Duncanville. And so we've got dual elected officials in the family, which makes it pretty interesting sometimes. So anyway, yes, that's right. So anyway, as I talked a little bit about, I'm from Oak Cliff, been here my whole life. I now live in Duncanville. Served in the military for 25 years. I was E9. Chief Master Sergeant, and did spend a lot of time overseas. But the big thing is that, again, being part of the fire department, I'm always looking to recruit. So if you know any young men, women that are interested, please let us know. So a little bit about Duncanville. We're 11.2 square miles. We have 5 districts, 1 at large, and of course our mayor. We have about 40,000 people. Our demographics are about 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. So we have 1/3 Hispanics, 1/3 African Americans, and 1/3 whites. But what's more interesting is that in our school district, we serve 5 cities, right? Grand Prairie, DeSoto, Cedar Hill, Duncanville, and Dallas. And so the makeup or the demographics there are 53% Hispanic, and then it breaks down from there. So we've got a lot of work to do there. I think the most important thing that's going on in our city right now in Duncanville is that we just hired a brand new city manager. Unfortunately, our interim city manager, our assistant city manager, passed away. So we've got a lot of challenges bringing her up to speed, working with her, working with other council members, trying to get her out into the community and do everything we can to forward the momentum of our city. I believe that's it. Does anybody have any questions? Are they open for questions?
Let's talk a little bit about the school district.
Okay, the school, well, my wife's more,
Okay, cool, yeah, go ahead.
and that's fine. I know a lot about the school district because I was on the school district or the school board before I got on city council, so I'm very, very close to Dr. Mark Smith. So let's talk a little bit about Duncanville. So this year will be the first year that they graduate from the Collegiate Academy, which they'll graduate with their associate's degree and their high school diploma. And so this is the first year, which it took us a long time to get that going, but when Dr. Smith came on board, that was one of his visions, and of course, us, the school board trustees, supported him and made it happen. Some of the other things are, we've got new administrators, we've got new programs, we're working on trying to get a mariachi there in Duncanville. We've been working on that for quite some time. And Dr. Smith is he's good with that. But again, with his vision, it's just part of the process. He's very, very proactive in the city and the community and does everything he can to support. One of my biggest challenges before I got on the school board and even now, there was a division between the city council and the school board. For whatever reason, I don't know. But I spoke to both of them. I said, it doesn't matter. We need to move forward on this. We need to get it going. We show inclusion. Because we're not going to get the businesses. We're not going to get the people here. We're not going to get the families. And we've got to show that we work together. Is there anything else, sir?
I know that when I was in city council, trying to get Latinos to join the fire department, the Dallas Fire Department, was really hard. I was always having to beat up the police chief about the recruitment. So if somebody wants to join the fire department, or they have a son or grandson or granddaughter, tell them a little bit about that.
So Dallas Fire Department, we hire about twice a year. We hire about 400. Well, we have about 200 retired years, so we try to keep up with that. I know I got my police brothers over here, and we really appreciate them and support them. But to be a firefighter, obviously you have to have 45 college credit hours, a good standing record. And what I like to do is, if they're young in high school, we have an Explorer program. So I like to get them out there, get them in the program, get to know people, learn a little bit about it, and it gives them a little bit more confidence when they apply. But once they get on the department, we take care of them, we assign them mentors, coaches, and try to keep them out of trouble, because something happens there. But if you know anybody that wants to join the department, I'm from Oak Cliff and take a lot of pride in my job and what I do here in serving our citizens. Please refer them to me. I've got some cards up here I'll leave, and just reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to talk to them. I'll have them come out to the fire station. If they're students, we'll have them come to the station with their families, and we'll let them talk to other young men and women that are in the department, and so they can get a better feel of what's going on.
So,
if you don't mind, I'd like to get the other half. I don't relate to this. Janet, would you like to say anything about what's happening? You're on the school board right now in Duncanville, right?
Yes.
You want to say a couple of words about what's going on with the school board there?
Well, let me see.
Come on up.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. We're excited here. Monday, we're going to have about 900, a little over 900 graduating crossing the stage. And this is huge because of the fact that these are students that stuck with making sure that they finish through COVID. And how many of you understand the complexity, the hardship that occurred for all of our students and all our communities. And so we're very excited about that. We're also excited about there's about 70 students graduating from the collegiate program with their associate degrees, and we received $4.4 billion of monies towards their colleges. So, and two of them I taught because I'm a former educator, so I will get to hand over the diploma to them, and so what an honor that would be. So thank you for having us. We look forward to meeting a lot of you at these breakfasts, and thank you, Mr. Garcia.
all right? Any questions?
First of all, my name is Hector Flores, and I live in Duncanville. I lived there for 37 years. As Ray, my friend here also. And I'm glad to see that we have at least some representation on the city council. And I know that Mr. Boyd was our mayor. But one thing that has always bothered me is the makeup of the police department and the fire department there. Not that they don't do a great job. I've had occasions to call 911 on several occasions. They've been nothing but professional. But I don't see myself there when they walk in the door, and my grandkids are there, or whomever, and for them to have the images that walk in the door, that they can be those guys coming in. Now, I know that the school system is over 52%. In fact, for the record, we have a LULAC youth chapter there in Duncanville, ISD. And they have been very open and permitting us to be in. It wasn't like that 10 years ago. It's changed a lot, but so have the demographics. Unfortunately, on the hiring side, that has not changed. And I think we need to work on it, and especially now that we have Mayor Boyd here, now that he's on the Community College District Board, to also influence that those kids that are going and finishing high school, we have a great graduation rate. I've graduated 2 children and 1 grandson from there. And they're all college bound, they're all college graduates, and it's a great academic environment. Again, the employment rate there does not reflect our community. And your comments?
Thank you, sir. Yes, I would agree with that 100%. And I think the challenge with not only Duncanville, but Dallas and several other places, our police department, our fire department, is that the salaries, the comparison and benefits are always a major factor. And so we hire about 2 or 3 police officers a year in Duncanville, and we do everything we can to advertise, flyers. The city has a LED board there at Main and Wheatland. They're always advertising. It comes out of the water bill. We do everything we can. You're right. It's tough to get them because I'll just say this: up north, Frisco, McKinney, they pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 more than we do, even though we're competitive, right? In Duncanville, the opportunities are not as much. For instance, In Dallas, I can be part of the Swiftwater Rescue Team, I can be part of the Technical Rescue Team, I can be part of hazmat, I can be part of wildland, I can be part of the airport. So there's a lot of different opportunities, along with the promotions, right? So this year, I think we'll probably promote 250 drivers, where in the smaller departments, I mean, they're not gonna promote unless somebody retires or unfortunately dies. So those promotion opportunities are a little tougher, and that makes it more challenging for sure. But as far as working with the police chief and the fire chief, we do everything we can to support them, to encourage them, and we use equipment. Matter of fact, we're building a new fire station right now, and we're buying a new fire engine. So we've got the most up-to-date equipment. Again, you know, that is a challenge, yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Reyna Cruz, constructive suggestion, not criticism. Perhaps you ought to imitate what Dallas ISD is doing in terms of coming up with programs for criminal justice, so kids can think about becoming officers and perhaps even fire department. I think perhaps, since your wife is now on the school board and you in the city council, perhaps you could push the idea of creating like a P-Tech academy, and then you've got now Mayor Boyd over there, who's now at the community college district. Now they're graduating with less than 60 hours from high school. So, you know, they're a potential candidate to be an officer or be a firefighter or even work at City Hall. Just an idea.
Yes, sir, I agree. And yes, we want to do more. I know somebody on the school board for sure. Sits next to me, sleeps right next to me, so yes, sir. But again, you know, with the council and myself personally, I have a great working relationship with Dr. Smith, and he's very up to listening with any idea. And of course, you know, he loves to hear that we come out into the community and talk to other folks, other cities, and get other ideas. He is very,
Mark
very
is a great friend, so we
Yes, sir.
interact all the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I will certainly pass that along, so thank you.
Bienvenidos, my name is Renato de los Santos. I'm the director of the LULAC Education Center. And with education focus, I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, a question for your wife. And that is, I'm sure there's similar desires to get to increase the number of Hispanic faculty and administrators at Duncanville High School. Is there a way that we in the community could possibly partner with the school district to help you with that? Or does the district thinking, or is there a strategy around recruiting for faculty members like that?
I'll comment a little bit first, and I'll pass it to her, because like I said, I was on the school board, and that's always been a challenge. As a matter of fact, you know, we talked to some other school districts, because when we go to the Texas, right, conventions, we talked to some of them send recruiters to Puerto Rico, down to Mexico. I mean, the recruiting budget is way different than ours, but keeping those teachers or those educators is tough, because again, they get language paid, but then again, if say for instance Grand Prairie's paying more, well, they transition over. So it's always a challenge, and money is a big factor.
Good morning. I'd also like to mention what my husband was saying is Dr. Smith works with his team staff in growing your own. And so there is a program established within the district to grow your own. So everyone is encouraged to become a principal, which we need more Hispanic principals, more representation in the classroom, of course. But it is hard. We don't know the answer to this. He is encouraging them to step up, but we are not seeing them a lot step up to the plate and taking in the positions of principals or vice principals. And I'm a member of MASBA, and so I always seek out what's the solution, because even Fort Worth and surrounding cities, we're having the same problem, and it's always a recruitment and retaining.
All right, thank you all very much. Gracias. All right, our next speaker has a very distinguished resume, so I'm just going to cut it short. He has a BA, an MA, and a PhD from the University of Southern California. He has a advanced management program at Harvard School of Business. He graduated from Inter-American Defense College and National War College in D.C. He was a Major General in the United States Army, where he served our country and got 5 Bronze Stars for Valor, a Purple Heart, and 30 other citations during the Vietnam War. He is now serving on the Irving City Council, Al Zapata. And Elba, do you have anything you want to add here?
Just welcome to Chorizo and Menudo. You know, your knowledge, your service, and more importantly, your dedication to service is second to none.
Gracias.
Tenemos muy orgullosos de que estés hoy aquí con nosotros en el Chorizo y Menudo. Tu servicio, no solamente a nuestra nación, sino a nuestra comunidad, es segundo a ninguna. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias.
Let's give a big hand to American hero, Al Zapata.
Gracias, Elba. Doña. Thank you. I see a lot of my friends around here. Just so that you know this, I go back, I mean, how many years? What? 36 years. I was here in, yeah, at least. But before that even. Retired from an oil company called Arco, oil and gas. And then had the opportunity to go back to Washington, D.C. and run their office, what we call the Government Affairs Office. But military-wise, let me start it really where it really started. I'm from East Los, that's East Los Angeles. For those of you that don't go west very often, but some of you know what I'm talking about. Every one of my family were in the Second World War. All of them were paratroopers, so we figured out what I was going to be next. So sure enough, when I joined the Army, as a private, by the way, and went to jump school at Fort Benning, Georgia, and then from there, Special Forces, commanded the Ranger Company, Echo Company or E Company of the 75th Rangers in 1969 in the Mekong Delta down in the south. So that's just a quick resume on my time, but you know, one of the things about our culture, it's all about having the pride in who we are and what we are. We've always served. And so I know many of you here have done the same thing, and so my hat's off to you and on to you. Let me now go to what Domingo and I, there's 2 points I want to bring up. The first one is I've committed to work with Domingo and LULAC on making sure Fort Hood becomes a change of name, either Cavazos or Benavides. I had the pleasure of serving with Roy, both in Special Forces, but also with General Cavazos. And so we've got 2 great representatives. If I had it to call, I'd do Fort Hood with General Cavazos because he's, as you know, he's born and raised in San Antonio. And secondly, Roy, Fort Bragg, Bowman Special Forces. So that's where I go. So we got 12 opportunities, so 2 would be just about right, I think, Domingo. So, last, let me talk a little bit about Irving, Texas. When I came back here 16 years ago, I found out that in Irving, Texas, over 70% of our K-12 in our 5 schools, 5 high schools, but more importantly, the K-12, are Hispano, Latino, and Latinas. And there was no program, nor was there any Hispanic that had been on the city council at Irving. And I can tell you that at that point, we decided to do a few things. One was to start the Future Leaders of Irving, where we bring 40 to 50 young people. Elba is always there with us. Gracias otra vez. But to bring this graduating seniors from those 5 high schools and give them 6 days over a 6-month period where we take them out of school 1 day a month and actually orient them and train them and work with them to get them prepared for the world of work or going on to higher education. In fact, the first Hispanic Mexican American young fellow that we found that was actually couch surfing or was homeless, we were able to bring him into the camp, into our working group, and be part of Future Leaders. We got him a scholarship at the University of Dallas. He graduated, and guess what? He's a counselor working with our young people. So there's an example of something I feel very strong that we needed to do. The other part of it is, I could go on and on about what I do, U.S.-Mexico Chamber of Commerce that I still head. My vice president here is Joe Chapa, who Many of you know he's also the vice president at the Irving Las Colinas Chamber of Commerce for International Affairs. The other part is, Domingo asked if I would take a moment to talk to you about what's happening in Irving. Well, I will tell you that right now, things are really we are kind of in the sweet spot in what I call not only Texas, the Metroplex, but all of North America. Why? The fastest growing area is right here. And we have 7 of the Fortune 100 companies in Irving. And in my district, I've got 5 of them, McKesson, Exxon, etc. And so, to give you a sense of what we're trying to do is make sure that the sensitivity is there as to we need more senior executives, we need more of our young people becoming interns, and so we are working with that and getting that done. The other is that one of the situations that we're dealing with in the city council is a couple of things. And those of you that are, and I know Domingo knows this because he's dealt with it when he was on the city council. I was here when he was, so that was my days at Arclight.
How many moons ago?
36 years ago, man, that gets fast, okay? But the bottom line is that we've got situations where our solid waste guys are really way overtaxed. We're having to deal with that. We're having to deal with our fire and police and how we are able to give them what they need. Something that may or may not be known by a lot of people, our fire, over 80% of all their 911 calls are EMS. So we ask our fire and police to deal with a lot of the ills and problems that are out in our communities. And so we're trying to deal with that, make sure that we're working with our firemen and our police, because I don't know if you know this, over 40% of the suicides are coming out of, guess what, our public safety guys. And so we need to deal with that. You look at the veterans, 22 veterans a month are committing suicide. And by the way, 90% of how they do it is with a whip or with a handgun. Why? It's just something they're used to, and it's over and it's quick. So there's some things that I personally am getting involved in with the Veterans Affairs as well. You know, Elvin, I've talked about this, and I know I think you brought on a new head of Veterans Affairs in the last year. So that's the kind of stuff that people don't talk about it, but man, it's out there. The other part at Irving that we are trying to do is trying to really help our development of 40% of the DFW airport is in Irving, even though we have no control over that because, as you know, a national airport, international airport like DFW is a quasi-government agency. So both Dallas, Fort Worth, Irving, Euless, and Grapevine have pieces, although they don't control it. But guess what's happening? We just had to sign an incentive package with Amazon, over 1 million square feet, right in the north part of the airport. Another one is Mars. They're the M&M, the candy bars, okay? 1 million square feet. All of what we call fulfillment or areas where they can bring in their product and then ship it on to other parts of the globe. So you all are in a really interesting time, but a very opportune time to really help one another and help our people and our young people. So, Domingo, gracias por eso y cuente conmigo totalmente. All right. Thank you. Any questions out there?
You can't let him go without a question.
Especially from you. You know, I have a term for it, but I'm not, because the ladies are here. Go ahead.
Al, can you tell me how many Hispanics have won the Medal of Honor or I know you're a Purple Heart recipient from the Vietnam era, but do you have any idea?
Yeah, 53. More than any other group. Think about that. You know, I'm fortunate, Silver Star, 5 Brown Stars. I mean, most of us are local when we get in there, so, you know, what's new? But at the end of the day, I will tell you that there is a lot of reasons for us to be very proud of who we are and what we are. And by the way, 8 of those Medal of Honor men of the Second World War were Mexicanos. They were not citizens. And when they became Medal of Honor winners, they immediately made them citizens of our country. So at the end of the day, mucho orgullo por todo de nuestra gente. Yes, sir. Why don't I recognize you. You're a panzón now. You weren't there before.
It's the pandemic. Al, buenos días and welcome here to Chorizo. I just wanted to ask about the leadership program you mentioned.
Yes.
If you would be willing or have you thought about possibly working with other districts to expand that concept and possibly have it available, because not just Irving do we have a need for more representation. We talked Duncanville a little bit earlier. As you know, I work with the LULAC National Education Service Centers, and we're in the process right now of writing a proposal, a grant proposal to a community foundation to look for projects like that to possibly replicate. Is that something that you would be willing to share or you point us in the right direction?
Definitely, and I raised the money all from private sector, no government money. Verizon, Rotary, I mean across the board, because it's important that they are involved. It's almost like a public-private partnership. But the city of Irving, the county, Dallas, all participate. So yes, the answer is yes. And anything I can do to help that, I'm sure help. Anybody else? That's it. Okay.
By the way, before you go, I got a letter from a widow. She's 92 years old. Her husband served in World War II. I think his name was Edgar Caballero from Los Angeles. He got, is it the silver, which is the second one? The one right below Medal of Honor.
Silver Star.
He got the Silver Star. He captured 1,200 Japanese soldiers on Saipan, the largest number of any American. When they do the Sergeant York of World War I, he only captured 21 Germans. But he didn't get the Medal of Honor. Okay? And they did a movie from here to eternity, and they put Ali Murphy as him. Okay? A white guy instead of a Latino, who was the one that the story is based on. And his widow just said, can we do something to get him the Medal of Honor? So I hope you work with us on that one to get that injustice corrected here in the future. As well as we need more to it for grant.
How much the work that's being done by LULAC in terms of the military doing business with Hispanic-owned businesses, and also the reflection in the military that Hispanics are not at the higher rank, both in all the armed forces in reality. I think these are things we can work at.
Yeah, when some of you may or may not know this, because I don't really talk about a lot of this. Somebody like Domingo or Elba asked me to get in front of her. But this is familia, so that's easy for me to share that with you. Let me tell you, in 1976, I was very honored by Gerald R. Ford to become the very first Hispano to be the Assistant Secretary in his Cabinet of the Interior, Senate confirmed. Fast forward. During George W. Bush's tenure asked me to come in. I became the chairman of the Reserve Forces Policy Board, which oversaw half of the military, all the National Guard, all the reserve from all 5 services. Actually directly the President, Congress, and John Rumsfeld, who I knew from my days in the Fort White House. Let me tell you what happened. We're sitting and he asked me, you want me to meet with a group of Latino leaders, Hispanic leaders? I said, yes. This department does not really understand the values that our people have done and have put in. And I said, in fact, we've only had 1 4-star Mexicano Mexican American. And he asked me, he said, well, who was that? I said, well, you were Secretary of Defense in 1976. His name was Richard Palacios. And you know what his comment was to me? That's the soldier. We had a meeting with 40 of our from across the country, including LULAC. I still sit at the executive committee of one of the groups that I helped found, called the Latino Hispanic NHLA, National Latino Hispanic Agenda. And we're on it together. Why? That's where 44 of our organizations nationally focus on. Now, why do I sit up there? Because I'm the only Republican that's on there. You know what? guys and ladies, we don't have us in every side of the aisle. Whoever's in the White House, whoever's running for Congress, no matter what party, as long as you don't forget where you came from. That's the bottom line. So, yes, we made 4 generals in the 3 years that I didn't make it, the president and Rumsfeld did. And so 2 of them are living in San Antonio. Freddie Valenzuela was one of my classmates at the War College. So the answer is, you know how many black generals are? 47. You know how many Latinos are today? 3. So we got a lot of work to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan. Gracias. Our next speaker served 2 terms on the Duncanville City Council. He then became mayor of Duncanville, where he served and learned his leadership skills. And he was just elected to represent District 5, which represents the Dallas County Community College District. So these are community colleges, and I believe, if I'm correct, this includes Duncanville, Cedar Hill, and Grand Prairie. Let's give a big hand to the new Dallas County Trustee, Community College Trustee, Cliff Boyd. Cliff?
Thank you all very much. It's an honor to be here, but it's also an honor to serve the college district. I have had the privilege of being in Duncanville 45 years, which has been a great time for me, and being a part of the Southwest Dallas County has been a real opportunity to see the area grow the way it's growing. And I feel like that basically my calling in life has been that of service. And when I finished almost 15 years of serving over at Parkland Hospital, I served as their chairman up to 2003, and then I was vice chairman of the Blue Ribbon Panel to build a new hospital, and that was like seeing your child be born. That is such a great facility that we have in the county, and so it's been a real opportunity, and I thought my years of service were over with when it came to the conclusion of the Parkland years. But the good Lord had a different message for me, and I feel like that my service now is to basically take what I learned in the mayor's role in Parkland to bring it to the college, because our future lies in our kids. If we don't understand that education is our solution to almost every problem we have, and it can be healthcare, it can be criminal activity, whatever, education is going to be the way we're able to turn something around. I feel like that I ran a campaign from January to December, so I only joined the board in December of this last year. So having the ability to come here and tell you this and tell you that about the college district, it's not me. I understand our vice chancellor, our now chancellor-elect, was here last month, and so he can give you more factual information. What I want to share with you is what I see as an opportunity. I told Domingo, I feel like I'm a kid in a candy store. All the heavy lifting has been done. The consolidation of the 7 campuses into one campus was a great move, because I mean, we had silly rules like you had to be 25% at one campus to graduate, and yet we're teaching courses in 7 different silos. So I just feel like that my contribution is not about what has been, but what will be. I feel like that the good Lord has given me the ability to be a visionary. I really see 5, 10, 15, 20 years out. I'm not looking at what was right or wrong necessarily last year, but I want to make everything move in the right direction. I feel that academia has always been behind the power curve. We've always been in an era where we're going to teach something that is here now. I want us to get on the other side of the power curve. I want us to be preparing for companies like you just mentioned, how many of the Fortune 100 companies we have. Can you imagine the education and training budget that those companies have? I mean, they're right here in our backyard. So if we're in the education and training business, why don't we go to them ahead of a new product, ahead of a new item, And let us be the training, let us be that. That is the way we're gonna elevate our wage in Dallas County. If we keep building more warehouses, we're not gonna raise our wage. We're gonna have to train people to do different things. We know how to build and repair diesel engines, right? I wanna know how to repair an electric engine, because that's the future. I don't know if people realize, but transportation is probably gonna have more effect on our future lives than any other subject. And I believe that transportation as a service is gonna be where we are. Although we won't be building any more parking garages, we don't need parking meters, because we're gonna have transportation like Uber right now, is picking your food up and bringing it to your house. You're going to subscribe to a service that's going to have a driverless vehicle, pick you up at your house, take you anywhere you go. And when you start thinking about that, it's going to be less. You have no insurance. You have all kinds of situations. You won't need a garage at your house because you're not going to have to own a car. And you're also going to have to not have parking lots at colleges, but you can have more classrooms. I mean, I was astounded. I mean, this last few months has been like drinking from a fire hose. I mean, I found out we have 1,600 acres of land owned by the college district. 1,600 acres. You realize we own a block and a half of downtown Dallas? I mean, we've got all kinds of assets. So what we have to decide is, and what I feel my challenge is, what does a campus look like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now? Y'all just passed a bond issue 2 years ago, which has been in court, which has been resolved pretty much so. So what they would have spent that money on 2 years ago is wrong now, because the pandemic, look what it's taught us about distance learning. So we have a whole lot of strategic planning, and that's what I want to be a part of. I feel like that my experience, whether it be at Parkland, whether it's been in the city of Duncanville, I've had 3 police departments, I've had the experience. I tell you right now, Dallas College Police Department has 42 vacancies. 42. And so the opportunities there. Then I find out we got two police academies. But you know what I find out? I don't find the suburban cities using our police academy for their training. So that doesn't make sense. So, like I said, I am in the learning mode, but I am keeping an open mind, because I realize that what we have to do is that we have to do something different. And the stage has been set with one college. With this consolidation, the stage has really been set. And so I want citizen input. Y'all all have lifetime experiences that will help us do a better job. So, you know, I'm just telling you today, I don't have a lot of answers, except I will tell you that this month we graduate 11,000 students. We have 7 ceremonies, and it takes 11,000 students across the state. But what's more important than that is that not every child wants to go to college and get a college degree, but they want a better life. And we have the best cross-training capability of anywhere in the country. I think Dallas College is the 5th largest college in the United States. So we have that opportunity. And so what I want to do is a better messaging of what we offer. The dual credit program that was mentioned about the students, we have dual college, we have high schools who meet at the college full time. The students don't even go to the high school. They go to the college and they graduate with an associate degree in May, and they get their high school diploma in June. So we have some great programs. So I just want you to help me do a better job of messaging what our deliverables are, what we have the ability to do. And I want us to get into those students earlier. You can't wait till they're juniors and seniors. We got to get into the 8th grade, the 9th grade, and we got to be able to do that. And we can only do that with your help. And so, just like she mentioned earlier, if you take dual credits while you're in high school, the parents got 1/2 the college bill when they get to college. They only have 2 more years to go. And if they go to our early high school, some of them even have into that third year. So I could go on and on, but I know that it's just a short period of time. I wanted to tell you all that again, it's an honor and a privilege to serve Dallas College. I'm going to have a very open mind. I realize that some of the trustees have been there 20 plus years. Some of those were employees of the district. I ran on the campaign. I have no agenda except the kids. I just want to do that. I'm about efficiency. I want to be able to deliver the best product at the least cost. And that's kind of my job. Okay, thank you all, and I'll take any questions.
Alex, you have to, she's coming.
Hi, good morning. My name is Grace Cortez, and I'm a former educator in Dallas ISD for 30 years. Hi, Mr. Mackey, and also a former adjunct professor at Mountain View College. And I also serve on the board of our very active LULAC Council 2262 in Grand Prairie. And so I'm here on their behalf as well. First, I would like to praise Dallas College for a wonderful job that you've done. And the system is a valuable system for our North Texas area. I want to thank, Dallas College has had a foresight of establishing satellite campuses in most of your 7 community campuses. I did bring a map that shows the various satellite campuses offered by 6 of the main campuses. Some of them have even 2, such as Northlake College has a south and a north satellite. Eastville College is 1. El Centro College, I believe Brookhaven is adding 1 in Carrollton, and Richland has 1 in Garland. Cedar Valley has 1 as well. The only one that's lacking 1 is ours in Mountain View College, which serves our area, Grand Prairie and the southern part. At this point, I would like to ask if you would commit to helping us bring or establish a satellite campus in Grand Prairie area. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate your comment. As I said to you, that one of the things that I believe is so critical for our future is strategic planning, and that includes looking at where facilities belong and where they don't belong. I know Mountain View, Cedar Valley had 1 over in Cedar Hill, and there are a number of the sites. We have 1 in West Dallas. But I have 2 more campuses to visit. I've been to all of them. I spent a full day at each one of them. But what I will commit to you is that I became chairman of the finance committee, which also includes the long range or strategic planning. So I absolutely am in tune with what you're saying. I have watched Grand Prairie reinvent itself. Being in Duncanville and being a neighbor of Grand Prairie, I commend Grand Prairie for what they've done. They have a phenomenal growth, but they also have a great VOTEC program for their students and all, and they do a great job. But I will commit to you with a very open mind to look at where our campuses go, and I think it's very, very critical. So thank you for your comments. Yes, sir.
Mr. Boyd, welcome. My name is Rene Martinez. I'm the president of the LULAC Council, one of the main councils that we have in this district. Your area represents the Mountain View area, Mountain View College area. We presently have, as you well know, 7 campuses. There are no Latinos as president of any of those campuses. Mountain View campus has been vacant for over 9 months. We've had 3 presidents on that campus in over the past 6 years. No leadership sustainability. From what I understand, the interviews for the finalists are starting next week. I would hope that you, as a trustee, when the final decision is made, that you select a qualified, competent Latino or Latina to be the next president of Mountain View College.
I hear your comment, and I appreciate that, and for those of y'all that have served in the capacities of trustees and mayors and councilmen and commissioners, court, there's a lot of the operational part we don't get a choice. We certainly will confirm. But I think that I know the message has been heard. I spoke with our Vice Chancellor who was here last week. He understands that is the desire. You know, having lived in Duncanville for 45 years, it was myself that many years ago that I went to the mayor of Dallas because we had no roads, we had no nothing. Until I said, I want to tell you what's going to happen with the next bond election if you try to do anything without giving us our fair share. So I've always been a part of being able to try to make people be fair. Because I think that's the key word today, is to be equitable, be fair. And so I can only promise you that within my ability and within my powers granted to me, that I'll do whatever I can to ensure that we're always equitable and fair. And if I promise you any more than that, I would be being untruthful with you. And I won't do that ever. Yes, sir.
Mayor Ford, if you look at the research, African Americans and Hispanics, 70% plus go to community colleges. They don't go to university, for one. So that means that the enrollment should reflect that. Number two, I think it's already been mentioned about the fact that I think I've been in Dallas close to 50 years. I've only seen 3 or 4 presidents in that time on any one of these campuses or at upper echelon. And so obviously there's something missing there in terms of the hiring process. With all the hullabaloo about racial and ethnic equity, I think we're being bypassed for one. And then I think there needs to be some work on that effort. I mean, a lot of effort by the board, but also management. Now, we can't criticize Joe May for the great work he's done in bringing this community college district forward. To be the envy of the United States of America, to be honest with you. The programs, the Dallas Promise, the P-Tech Academy, the work with the DISD, every child that graduates from a high school in Dallas County has a crack at going to college, community college. But consequently, we're not reflected up and down in the chain of command. And we need to change that. And I think that part of what your work and your mission should be the diversity. And how are we going to have those kids think about becoming a president if they don't have somebody to emulate? And the other aspect of this is the whole thing that you're on, which is technology. We know that if you do not train these kids on technology, they'll be left out of the workforce. And I'm glad that you're thinking visionary, thinking in the future. How are we going to create that workforce that has technology as a principal component and element of any training program or higher education program? And finally, I think that a community college district that's publicly funded by all of us in here, taxpayers, I think that access to technology by those that go to your college, you could conceivably set up towers in all these campuses and satellites and provide the Wi-Fi that's necessary for these children to have access to technology and try to eliminate the digital divide. And I know those are a lot of questions that I put towards you. I don't expect you to remember all of them and respond to them. But I've got a list here in case your mind is a little fuzzy on me.
That's okay, and you know where I live, right? So that's okay too. But anyway, I appreciate that, and I really believe that there's going to be a lot of change. I believe that there's going to be. I'm very encouraged with our selection of our Vice Chancellor to continue the work that Joe May did. So I really believe that the things that you have brought up are truly on the table. There are not things that are not discussed and talked about. One of the things that I have a problem with is that you can't run a business like we have at Dallas College and have the trustees meet one time a month. And so they're not always liking what I'm suggesting. We've got to have more people working more days, more hours, and being able to get to the root cause of some of the issues that you're raising, some of the things you're bringing up. So all I can do is promise you that I hear what you said, I understand what you're saying, and all I can say to you is that you've seen me perform before, and when I commit to do something, I do it. When I signed up to be a trustee, I'm a full-time trustee. I'm blessed that I've been blessed with the businesses that I've had, and right now I don't have anything but real estate, and thank goodness it's 100% leased, and so I'm not having to worry about anything except focusing on Dallas College and what I have. So, you know, I really want to come back here, let me come back here a year from now and see what I've done, because in the period of time I've been there, I'm still learning about what's not there and what is there. And so I think you know this about me too. I'm never going to tell you something that I can't back up. So today, I'm not going to give you any answers, but what I am going to do is give you a commitment.
We would love to work with you, and my mind was fuzzy enough, I forgot to tell you that I want you to look at who you're doing business with, and unfortunately, the guy that's the head of our construction, we have an organization that's construction sites with a $1.65 billion construction program. We want to make sure that Hispanic business types or construction, or those kind of construction are not left out of this picture also.
Yeah, and one of the things that I have toured is that we just are completing a 90,000 square foot contract management building over across from Grapevine Mill Mall that is going to be second to none about training in the skills of contract management and department. So one of the things that I'm going to end with this by saying that one of the things that's going to move us forward to better paying jobs and things is partnerships with companies. We've got to go to those companies and partner with them and let the students have internships and let them learn on the job along the classroom. I believe that's the way to do it. So thank you.
We got one last question. Andrew, and then we're done.
Okay.
My name is Andrew Goldsmith. I retired from DISD 25 years ago. I was a recruiter in Nashville College under Dr. Abbott 20 years ago. And there's a big travesty going on with proprietary schools. You have 3 programs that have called for wonderful automotive programs. You have 3 programs that have wonderful automotive programs. You have medical assistant programs. You have radiology programs. You have all of these programs. The Promise program to pay for it. The Rising Star program to pay for it. And parents have no knowledge of education, higher education, like Irving. Irving, I ran into many kids who they were going to go to Lincoln Technical Institute for the tune of $25,000. And they could go to Eastfield, Brookhaven, and Cedar Valley. There's so many programs that the children, the students go to with the trades. Proprietary schools are leases. They take the grant money, they take the loan money, they promise jobs, they never fulfill the job opportunities. If you have all those acres of land, how about you build a super facility for nursing, automotive, all the schools that hone in on our students and their parents to get the financial aid and put them thousands and thousands of dollars a day. And one last thing. Your colleges aren't user-friendly. When you call the Dallas County Community College, you get a recorder. Press this number, press this number. If you call any proprietary school, they answer the phone because they are on the business of selling education. And I think it would be great if you could compete with the proprietary schools because we pay taxes. Every parent pays taxes to the rent homeowners, and we should give them the service. And if there's a medical program there's a waiting list, maybe you should shuffle around and put more instructors so they're not a waiting list, because they're not a waiting list in the proprietary schools when you pay $25,000 to the medical system. Thank you very much.
And I don't disagree with you at all. I told you earlier that one of the things that I believe that we've not done a good job is telling our story. I think we are one of the best kept secrets in the county, and we're going to change that. I think if you talk to the marketing people, as I said, I'm going to be out and I'm going to be speaking and I'm going to be doing the thing. So we've got to educate the parents, but sometimes the parents don't appreciate education, so therefore it's going to take a third party that's going to help the student. And also what you've learned is that education is, giving somebody the tuition and giving the books, which is what we do in our scholarship. That's not enough. They still have to have a place to live. They still have to have food to eat. So some of our people that really need to change their lives, a college campus is going to have things called daycare too. A lot of our parents are single moms. A lot of our students are single moms, and they have no one to take care of the child. They can't go to college. So if we had simply child care added to some of our campuses, again, it changes the lives of a lot of people. And so we created food pantries. We now have food pantries. The CARES money that came down from the federal government during the problem year, we gave out over $1 million of aid every month during that period of time that was redistributed to our college students who had to have help while they were going through this period of time. And I agree, especially the technology and the internet. But I agree with you. We've got to do a better job, and in this consolidation, they're still in the process of shaking down. We don't need 4 different locations, engineering. We don't need 4 different locations. You can take part of it in part campuses. You might have to go to a lab at Cedar Valley. You may have to go to a lab out at Mountain View. So that's kind of where we are. And let me come back a year from now, invite me back and let me see what I've been able to do and let my report card reflect that. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. All right, our next speaker was born and raised in East Dallas. He has been serving in different capacities, but now he's currently been appointed by Mayor Eric Johnson to serve as a large appointee to the Dallas Police Oversight Commission. These are the ones that review complaints against police officers as well as other issues. With us today is Tanya McClary. She's the director of the committee. Thank you and welcome. And so let's give a big hand to Mr. Juan Olivo. He's I'm the board member of the Dallas Oversight Police Committee.
Good morning. Hector, please take it easy on me. It's late. As Amigo said, I serve on the city's Community Police Oversight Board as Mayor Eric Johnson's appointee since roughly around November 2019. I, alongside with 14 other board members appointed by your city council person, serve on this board. And our main goal is to ensure that the complaints against police officers are being heard in a proper and expeditious manner, making sure that the community has trust with filing said police complaints, right? Currently, you are able to file a complaint against a police officer at whatever division offices, police division offices in the city. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, it's understandable. So you can email us. Please, if I'm missing anything, feel free to chime in. Email us, call us, submit the form online. There's an English form and a Spanish form sometime soon, right? And hand deliver them to the office. I think the office is closed at the moment of the pandemic. Anyway, so our main goal again is to improve that trust between the police department and the neighborhoods that they serve. right? In no way, in no manner, and I want to make this very clear, is our relationship with the department arbitrary or hostile or any sort of negative relationship, right? It's more of a collaborative relationship, making sure that the just general quality of life in the city is increased, and we are not trying to find them or make their jobs difficult, right? Our intention is to make sure that they do their job, and again, improving that trust between the community and the department. I want to run through some of our accomplishments since then. As Latino said, we're an advisory board to the city manager, city council, and the chief. Our very first item as a board was to investigate the in-custody death of Diamond Ross. Anybody remember hearing about Diamond Ross? It was a woman that was pleading for water and blood, and it was an in-custody death, and it was all over the news, and it was just horrible videos to see, right? And so we felt the need that we needed to hire a third party firm to investigate it. So we directed our Office of Community Police Oversight, a director. At the time, we hadn't been hired. Well, we still took it upon us to say, well, whenever she does get hired, we'll have some tasks for her to do that. And so, unfortunately, because her family filed a lawsuit against the city of Dallas, we are, in accordance with the city ordinance, unable to investigate further, right, or discuss it publicly. And so, we had further discussion subsequent to that meeting on the release, the video release policy for body-worn cameras and dash cameras, right? And so we submitted it to the city council, to the chief to review, and Chief Hall at the time implemented hers out, and we had discussions, or you had discussions, right, with the chief and the city manager as far as the language and that goes. And what they decided was to, within 72 hours of a critical incident that resulted in serious bodily injury or death, the video needed to be released to the public, and the people that were able to review the video before being released are the injured person, the next of kin of the deceased. Our director is also able to review the video before it being released, and I'm not sure if this has happened yet, but in the instance where the chief decides to not release the video, you are also notified. They did not implement all of our directors' recommendations, which is okay, but it's because they still made a decision to do so in the beginning, right? That just shows that we're going in the right direction with this. So we took it upon ourselves to ask the city manager to apply this retroactively to it, right? So this was applied to, this was implemented in June 30 of last year, but so we voted to have it applied retroactively for it. And so this was around right before the pandemic hit, right? The governor signed the emergency orders for the pandemic response, suspending any meetings not related to COVID response. So around this time, this was April and May meetings that were suspended, and around this time is when the murders of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd happened. And so there was protests in the streets, and the community asked the city manager to allow us to convene. And so because of that we did, and that first meeting back after these protests, it ended around midnight. That was a pretty long night for us, but we passed a lot of agenda items, one of them being to direct our monitor to review the use of excessive force policy that the department has, the use of excessive force, protest policy, because y'all remember what happened at the Margaret Hunt Gill Bridge and areas around there. And also to grant we asked the city manager to grant the director access to the database for the department on civilian complaints, right? So now we discussed earlier, there's two options, there's two ways to submit police complaints to the department itself and also to our office. So she was granted that. And lastly, we submitted a recommendation or changed language to include protections for people that are suffering from mental illness or any sort of drug-related or non-drug related episodes when it comes to the transportation of prisoners, right? So that was dealt to in hopes to not have another Diamond Ross incident. And also Tony Timber, y'all remember Tony Timber, right? A white man, 2016, was died in police custody. It took back to the body-worn camera policy change. It was 2016 that it occurred, and it took 3 years and a federal lawsuit against the city. And the family's pain and suffering to get closure and to get this video out for them to review, right? And so I just want to touch bases real quick, go back into the structure of our board. So it's a 15-member board. There are 5 subcommittees. There is the data and technology, which I'm a member of, the community outreach, the community engagement and transparency committee, which I chair, a policy, a subcommittee, a rules subcommittee, and I'm missing one, and I always forget this one, training subcommittee, that's why I forget it. And so these are all subcommittees that need to discuss the policy or whatever it is that they need to discuss so that the full board, right, entertains the discussion. And so in closing, or before we close out, I want to discuss just the need of, or the history of oversight. Now, y'all remember, who was, I probably wonder, who was here or who protested or contacted the city council person after the Santos Rodriguez murder? Anybody? So, I mentioned earlier that there was a revamping of our board, right? So it's the Community Police Oversight Board now. Prior to April 2019, it was known as the Citizens Police Review Board, which a lot of Martinez over there was representing this area as your appointee, right? Back then, what I'm trying to get is police oversight is nothing new in the city, although our office is, right? And so you need to understand that our relationship with the department is not arbitrary, it's collaborative. And before we open it up for questions and comments, and possibly Hector, you want to have any words?
I don't want to sound like I'm griping, but hey,
It's all up.
that's a tough deal.
It's all up.
I don't want to add to that, to be honest with you. You've got enough on your plate.
I just want to say I'm really excited to be here. You heard from board member Olivo that I always like to tell people I feel like I'm a 40-year dream in the making. You've had a board before, but you've never had an Office of Community Police Oversight, so I'm the very first police monitor for the city of Dallas. I always tell people we're like the uppercut, the left and the right. In a lot of cities, you just either have a board or you have an office. Here in Dallas, you're blessed to have an office and a board. And so I'm really excited about the work that we are doing. I got hired the last week of February, and then 2 weeks later, we were in a pandemic. So I spent most of my time building this office in a pandemic, and so have not had a chance to get out in the community as much as I like. So now I am going to get out in the community, so I'm excited about coming and visiting a lot of your neighborhoods and doing other things. And we want to hear from this community. We want to know the things that are important to this community. One of the things that we've heard a lot from, especially a lot of the Spanish-speaking communities, is people have a lot of issues around immigration. How is the intersection of immigration and policing? People that are scared to call the police because maybe they're not documented and things of that nature. So we've been meeting with a lot of leaders that are working on those issues, and we want to hear other issues. We've had concerns about people that have gotten pulled over and none of the officers spoke Spanish. And so people feel like some of the interactions that went bad was because there was a language gap between the officer and the person that they were interacting with. And so we're really excited to hear about the issues that are affecting the communities. So we are open to sit down and meet and talk and figure out. And what I don't know, I have the 15 members, including Board Member Olivo here to help me try to figure it out, but I'm just excited, and thank you for having us.
I do have a question. All right, yeah, any questions? Renee, and then over here. Renee, let's start with Renee first.
One, congratulations, you've done a great job, Madam Director. I know it's out of your realm, but in looking at this board and also being an appointee of the mayor, what can we do in terms of your indirect influence
To get more Latino representation on that board?
Yes.
You know, it doesn't reflect the population of our city. So it's not just you, Juan, because I know you're our advocate, but our director, in terms of sharing with council members, in terms of their appointments, and I know it's an appointee process, but the board does not reflect the population of the city.
So to understand your question is to, what can y'all do to reflect that, right? Well, the board is appointed by city council members, so that's a first stop there. All the people that come here and talk about what their intentions and their plans to do when elected, I think that's a good start there. You need to understand and make them understand that in order for you to come out here and try to get their support and you guys' support is to do just that, right? I mean, I like to see much more diversity, but I think at the time now we have a good makeup of it. There's also always room for improvement. But I mean, the first step is obviously talking to the people that are elected. And right now, I mean, we're just the runoff elections. And so the people that are running for office as candidates, it's not too early to start talking to them about that. And for several meetings, we had vacancies. And that needed to be filled. So there's that, yeah.
It's not a question, but just a statement. I just want to let you know that I admire the work you're doing, Mr. Olivo, and you need to stick in there. Hopefully we'll find some allies to get on that commission. I think it's all upon us to make sure we have representation on, because city council people that are on there should be able to appoint those that reflect us, and obviously they have not been doing that. But I was part of the selection committee that selected her, and I admire the work she did in the audience, but she was being considered along with 5 or 6 other people. And our selection, we thought, were right on spot. So thank you very much for staying with us so far. Okay?
Going back to accessibility, so there's a business card on the table. It's my cell phone number and my email, and there's also a packet for a presentation that our director did.
Is that it? All right.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to recognize retired Sergeant Robert Munoz. He is a civilian employee. He is now head of the Dallas Police Department's Community Affairs Director, right?
Yes, sir.
You want to come up and say a few words?
Yes, I can.
Come on up.
Mooney.
All right,
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I think most of you know that before I retired, I guess you never retired from the passionate work that you like to do. So I was the amigos coordinator. Now we have an amazing sergeant running that shop, and we can't thank him enough, Sergeant Reyes, for doing that. I was honored and blessed and given the opportunity to come back as a civilian manager now. So now do I only see it from 2 different perspectives. I see it from a law enforcement perspective and a civilian perspective. And I want to meet with this young lady over here and this gentleman right here about maybe incorporating an instruction through the Citizens Police Academy to come talk to our citizens about transparency, about how messaging should be up. But either way, I'm excited. I start officially on Monday So, you know, I got Major Salas there, he's gonna be running in our shop as well, and I can be grateful and blessed to be in this position. Rene Martinez and Hector Flores have been very supportive in this effort, so I'm excited for the future. It's gonna be a lot of work. It's gonna be a lot of work because, like I said, our former boss did an amazing job, but now we're gonna set the bar in terms of community engagement. And that's about police legitimacy, trust and building trust and fostering relations with our community. And that's gonna be my job, but like I said, we have a great team in place, and we're looking forward to the future. Thank you so much.
All right, that's our last speaker. This time we're open for community announcements. Any community announcements?